Kyler Murray to the Jets. Now, it looks like, based on the reporting that's out there, he's going to be cut. So it's not going to cost the Jets any draft capital. We talked about this last week on the show. The structure of his contract basically makes it so the Cardinals have no choice but to release him. So if you can get Kyler Murray, and let's say it's not going to cost you a ton because Arizona is paying him to essentially not play, your thoughts on him as a potential option for the Jets?
I would only make him an option under one circumstance. He is not going to be the clear-cut starter. If you want to bring in Kyler Murray to compete for the job, that's the only way. And in that time that he's competing, if you're in the coaching room, I'd want to see, is he putting the time in? Is he grinding? Is he the first guy in and last guy out? Is he proving the things that are apparently negatives on Kyler Murray's resume in terms of him not caring about football? Is he overcoming those things? Is he showing that he's a changed man? If you bring him in and he's not a changed man, he's your backup quarterback all year. I would only bring him in under the pretense, Jake, that he's going to compete for the job. I would not bring him in like we did with Justin Fields last year and say, oh, this is your job and do what you can with it.
He's never been coached up properly, Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
That's Aaron Glenn's line to the media.
That's the only way, though, Jake.
I agree. Look, again, there's no perfect option. So you throw a name out there, and half the chat's like, oh, and it's like you throw another name, and the other half is like, oh, like there's no good name. That's the bottom line. Kyler Murray, at his best, might be the guy with the highest ceiling. I agree with you, though. He should not just be handed the starting job. Aaron Glenn's preached competition. Well, then you can't just anoint Justin Fields the starter with no competition. Bring in Murray and someone else and let him have a legit competition. And you basically would be able to get Murray for what is essentially the minimum. He's going to be released. Like, he's going to be one of those quarterbacks that we've seen the last couple of years that is basically playing for nothing on the team that signs them. So if it's that, I'll be at least open to it. But again, it feels like Kyler Murray would be the opposite of what Frank Reich ideally wants in his QBs. And it feels like the opposite of what Aaron Glenn would even want, right? Aaron Glenn's always talking about the team and discipline and being all in. And, you know, if you're not all in on being a teammate, you're not going to be here. And you're going to bring in a guy whose organization had to put a clause in his extension that he had to study. You're going to bring in a guy who the organization benched when he was healthy at the end of the year to play Jacoby Brissett. Like, they were so done with him in Arizona. And I get it. Sometimes QBs, as we've seen, need a change of scenery. But I'd be very hesitant of just bringing in Kyler and being like, all right, we're set at the position. Now we're good to go. Because even if he plays well, he's a huge injury liability. He's been hurt a lot in his career.
Yeah, no, he has. He has. Yeah, I'm with you there, man. I think Kyler has to understand that too coming in, obviously. You're not the starter. If you want to come here, we'll sign you or we'll bring you in, under these terms, and you're going to have to compete for the job. This is not your job. And he might not want to do that. So that might be an easy conversation. You might propose that, and he's like, I'm good, guys. All right, great. See ya. The thing with Kyler, Kyler had a year that I don't know if I had him in fantasy football or someone I didn't like in our league had him, but I remember one year, I think it was 2020, Kyler Murray had like one of the best years ever for a quarterback in fantasy. Right? He had like almost 4,000 yards passing. He had over 800 rushing yards and a ton of touchdowns. I mean, I just remember that year, and I was following a lot of the Cardinals games that year. And listen, Kyler Murray can play football. Kyler Murray, when Kyler Murray's on and Kyler Murray is feeling it, good luck opposing defenses. I mean, he's the definition of a dual threat quarterback. He really is. And he's got a cannon. There's a reason he was a first overall pick. But again, he's got to reinvent himself. He's got to remotivate himself. If he doesn't become a new person in New York or wherever he's going to go, you're never going to get the full squeeze. You're just not. So I'm not as anti Kyler Murray as everybody else is. Like, he's some cancer. Like, it's like you're bringing in like the, a TO 2.0 or something in this locker room. Like, no, he's not. I don't think he's not like that, in my opinion, based on what I've heard and seen. But there is a lot of concern about him caring about football. There is. So if he doesn't prove that he cares about football in this competition he's in, you keep him as a backup. But yeah.
He doesn't have a lot of spots that are going to be in on him, it doesn't look like. Because one of these teams out there is going to sign Malik Willis. Someone's going to draft The Raiders are going to draft Mendoza at 1. Like, you kind of go through it here. If Minnesota apparently as of now is not interested, it's going to be tough to find an exact landing spot for him. The Jets or the Dolphins might make the most sense if he costs nothing, but we'll see if they're even interested in him. Your guy
The
Brian
Dolphins
Costello.
are big. The Dolphins are rumored big team on him potentially.
So I just saw this. Brian Costello says the Jets are not going to be pursuing Kirk Cousins. I actually had heard something similar, but not enough to go with it on the air. But now that Kaz is saying it's not true, I could kind of back that up, that the Jets don't want to sign a 38-year-old quarterback on the MetLife turf playing in the cold, basically. And that was their position on it. And also, maybe the Jets are just getting out in front of it, because I don't know if Kirk Cousins would want them. He spurned them in 2018. And again, for the same reasons the Jets maybe don't want him. Does Kirk Cousins want to deal with the New York media? Does he want to deal with the turf? Does he want to deal with everything that comes with playing in New York, playing outdoors? He's played in a dome for the last decade plus of his career.
Yeah. The Kirk Cousins thing, I mean, it sounded good at a point. He had some, highs this season, Kirk, where he looked like the old Kirk Cousins. But I also, Jake, there's no way Kirk Cousins, like you're just alluding to, there's no way he's going to stay healthy 17 games at MetLife Stadium. Let's be honest. He could barely stay healthy wherever he goes. Yeah, he could come in for 5-6 games and have a 3-game stretch where he looks like the old Kirk Cousins, but you can't depend on that moving forward. There's no way. So that never made sense to me. I wanted it to make sense. I wanted to believe in it and think it's a reality, just because I like Kirk, especially for a young quarterback. If he stays for a year or two, he might be able to, give some tidbits to a young guy back there. But yeah, it's not going to happen.
Get ready for like an Andy Dalton trade, and then like signing.
Yeah, that's a hot name that I've been hearing a little bit too.
Like, think about it. Frank Reich knows Dalton. You have an opportunity to bring in a guy who could just run a conventional offense. He's not going to be offended if they play a rookie late in the year, if they did draft Ty at some point, or took someone on day 2 like Aller, or who knows, Taylor Green. The Jets have met with at all these events so far. I mean, the options just aren't great. I do expect them to have 2 vets and a rookie when we get to OTAs in May. That's my expectation. And whether that be, they're trading for Tanner McKee and signing someone, or they're just signing 2 guys, or it's they trade for Brissett and sign Mariota and then draft someone. I think we're going to be looking at 2 vets and a rookie in May when it's all said and done.
Yeah. Jake, I also think there's a name. Malik Willis is a real name out there. I know he's going to demand a big contract potentially. You're looking at like a $33 million a year kind of deal there.
I just can't picture him being a Jet, but I guess we got to consider him.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I was talking to somebody, him playing in Green Bay, him playing in the cold. He's played in the cold before. Playing in New York wouldn't be that different, obviously. They were
6
making
career starts, 1 this past year. And you're going to give that guy $30 million a year?
I'm not, but I'm telling you, they're going to knock on those doors. They kind of have no choice. Someone did make a good point. What's the point of going with Malik Willis when you could just bring in Marcus Mariota at this point? Like, what's the difference? But there is that unknown variable, which...
Well, Chris Sims thinks he's going to be a superstar. He told me that on my show.
Yeah, I was watching that. That was a great interview, by the way. But how can you say that? Listen, people have their own opinions on stuff, and there's people that know a lot more about quarterbacks than I do. So I'm not here saying like I'm the end all be all, but there's no way. I looked at a lot of Malik Willis's tape last year. I mean, he had flashes where he's a big play guy. Like if it's a 3rd and 13 and you think the play's over and there's nothing there, he'll still move around. He'll buy some time and he'll find someone for 40 yards down the field. He can make big plays. It's the consistency with him. It's the it's the tempo and how he runs an offense that to me never really makes sense. Yeah, he makes the big plays, but is he throwing that out on 1st and 10? Like that's picking you up an easy 8 yards to start a drive? Is he doing that over and over again? Is he finding your 3rd read? I mean, that's the stuff that people don't talk about enough. They always go to like with Joe Milton. It's all these big plays. Yeah, of course he's making big plays. That's why he's in the NFL. But what else is he doing to run an offense? What is he doing on 1st down? What is he doing on 2nd and 3? Is he audibling correctly? Is he switching from a run to a play action and then finding a tight end on a leak? I mean, like, there's a lot more to quarterback than just the big plays. I'll say this though, Malik Willis, to his credit, he does make a lot of big plays, and he does have a sense of how to run an offense, but there's not enough proof in the pudding to say he's going to be a superstar, man.
Hit the like button if you're just tuning in. Again, we're talking with Frankie V from uSTADIUM. We're going to raffle away a Jets jersey at the end of the show. You pick the player you wanted in. Reminder to fill out your ASMANIAC Madness bracket. The link is in the description. I've been posting it in the live chat. Almost 100 people that have signed up so far. It's free, and it gets you an opportunity to follow along in the greatest tournament in all of sports, the second annual ASMANIAC Madness event. Ladies and gentlemen, some super chats. Kevin checks in. Will Makai Lemon's dance interview affect his stock? Did you see some of his podium answers? People were going nuts about it online.
I was gonna come in and do it to you today. I was gonna be like, I don't think that did. Listen, I don't know if the reports are true.
I hope it did. I hope he falls right to 16.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I heard it did a lot actually. No, but
just like I hope Fernando Mendoza gets arrested and the Jets can take him second overall.
That was so stupid. No, I don't think it did. But I think the in-person stuff that I don't know who the former player is. This guy tweets us up a storm. The former Buccaneers guy. What's his name? Braden something. He was a defensive tackle. I should know his name, but I can never pronounce this guy's name. He was saying that he's heard from scouts that Makai Lemon was not doing well in interviews with teams, and they were like shocked at some of the answers and how unprepared he was.
Who said this?
If you look online, it's a former. Here, I'll find it. He's a former Buccaneer. Braden. Hold on. Braden Fehoko. So he tweets up a lot. And he was basically saying, he tweeted yesterday. What did he?
That he had bad interviews?
Yeah, I talked to a scout just now who said he didn't know what Makai Lemon's motive was behind his combine interviews, but whoever advised the kid needs to be fired. Absolutely bombed it word for word. And he was a former defensive tackle in the NFL. He went to LSU. I don't know. He also, ironically or coincidentally, a few weeks ago, tweeted that he thinks Makai Lemon's an overrated prospect. So there might be something there. Yeah, exactly. So you always got to look at that. But
Yeah.
I like Makai Lemon. He's my third wide receiver in this class, but I really like him.
I'd take him. There at 16.
So would I.
I'm taking him.
Absolutely.
Big fella, the first to enter today's raffle. He is in for 2. Did Kyler torch the Lions when Glenn was there? Seems like a prerequisite for the job. Also, I want 0 to do with Makai Lemon. Gives me Jamal Adams personality vibes. Can't see Glenn taking him. Well, hopefully Muji would then overrule him and be like, man, put on the tape. As far as did Kyler torch the Lions, the opposite actually happened. One of the Lions' best defensive performances while Glenn was there was against the Cardinals. In fact, when Glenn was a guest on the Pivot podcast in 2022, he brought up the game against the Cardinals where the Lions defense, even though the Lions at the time only had 1 win, one of their bigger upset wins was when they beat the 10-4 Cardinals that season in 2021. This was Glenn on the Pivot podcast then.
I remember the Arizona game is probably our best game of the year, right? Defensively, man, we went after them, right? I mean, I called cover 0 more than I've ever called in my life because, listen, Kyle, I'm finna go at you, bro.
Yeah.
All right, I'm just telling you.
Well, we know he's not studying anyway, so.
4 hours a week. No doubt. That's a whole nother side.
Glenn laughing at Kyler not studying. I mean, come on. If the Jets sign Kyler, doesn't that feel like other powers are involved in that decision?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'll say this. We always talk about the prototype of Frank Reich being, 6'3", 6'4". Remember, he did draft Bryce Young first overall.
What if you believe that? That was ownership driven. He wanted CJ Stroud.
That is apparently what's out there. Yeah. I don't know if I believe that, but that's a convenient point after year 1.
Right. You never know.
You never know.
But just both Saleh and Douglas have each blamed the other for the Zach Wilson pick. No, we wanted to stick with Sam. And then it's like, it's amazing.
Yeah.
We're going through some of the reports on their offseason, some of the latest betting odds. We're telling you what's real, what's not, what's just speculation, what actually has some legs. Your thoughts on Kyler Murray? Because it felt like reading through the tea leaves, Kyler Murray all of a sudden is more in play than maybe some realize. I still would be surprised, but guys like Matthew Berry have speculated on it. I heard Connor Hughes and Zach Rosenblatt on their podcast today say that they don't think it's a nothing burger, the Jets and Kyler Murray. Is Kyler Murray, in your mind, a real option for the Jets at quarterback this season?
If it were me personally, no. However, I think the smoke has kind of lasted longer than I thought it would.
No one shot it down. Like Kirk Cousins shot it down already. Kyler Murray's still out there. No one's shooting it down.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's been floating around a little too long. So it does make you feel like there's a little bit of a validity to it. Granted, like a lot of this could be carried by his camp. Of course, the Jets are a quarterback needy team. It's a very easy line to just continue to put that out there. But, the Jets could easily find themselves like distancing, distance from this, by giving their own, counter communication. But it does seem like that hasn't really happened. So it seems like this is a possibility still. But I don't know. I don't like the fit in terms of, where each is, where Kyler Murray is in his career and where the Jets are as a franchise. Like, I don't know that this is the redemption path that Kyler Murray would even want. You know what I mean? And then on top of that, it's like the Jets obviously needing to have a lot change in their locker room. I don't know that he's the path that they should be going at. So it just doesn't feel like a good fit on either side, to be honest. But, yeah, we'll see.
It's the Jets, so we can't rule it out, I guess.
Exactly.
Look, the thing with Kyler Murray is if you guaranteed me like health, I could see the argument on his upside being the greatest. But like if you're Aaron Glenn, your job's on the line. You're betting your career on Kyler Murray.
Exactly.
And again,
Doesn't
Glenn
really
was laughing at the idea of Kyler Murray even like being like a legit quarterback over his study habits in that clip that resurfaced of him on the Pivot podcast a few years ago.
Exactly. Yeah, it doesn't feel like it's a fit at all. So yeah, it's why it surprised me that it just continues to last. It's weird.
Who's more likely a Jet, Kyler Murray or Ty Simpson?
To me, Ty Simpson.
I think it's Ty Simpson too. Yeah, I do. It's kind of funny, right? The Jets are in on Brissett or maybe Kyler Murray. How funny would it be if they had Brissett and Kyler Murray just recreate the Cardinals quarterback room?
Yeah, they would. I'd be interested in what Jacoby Brissett would say about.
Yeah, what's his take on it? All right, let's get to the real important stuff that happened in Indy now. Your take on Napgate.
So Daniel Jeremiah's top 50 prospects as Aaron Glenn looks on for the Jets.
Superpowers sleeping. Aaron, wake up!
Fernando Mendoza 1. Jeremiah Love, who we'll also see on Saturday here on NFL Network.
Was he sleeping or was he awake? Your take on Napgate 2026, Dan.
It does seem like there is a glare of some type of screen, perhaps.
Is he resting his eyes? Is he looking down?
I'm not ashamed to admit it's happened to me before. I've been.
I don't know how you could watch the combine and this doesn't happen to you. I know people think I'm anti-Glenn. I'm going to defend his right to nap here. I don't blame him.
It's just especially it's possible that he was actually looking down at his phone and then fell asleep as well, which is even worse. Like, it's just not fair at all. My gripe here is that NFL Productions saw this in their preview camera, their preview input, and they put it out anyway. And it's hard to say that there's not a conspiracy against the Jets. That's just my take. That's just
maybe the NFL Network camera guy thought that he was looking down.
And to be fair to them, it was David Bailey about to go, so that was the right person to show. But still, they did him dirty. I feel like.
What are your thoughts on the fact that Glenn gave us that, and then days prior he gave us this?
Play call is my superpower, really.
Your thoughts on the week that was for the head coach of the NYJ?
I think he's very much looking forward to this period right now where it's just going to be straight Darren Muji focus for the next few months. And everyone is going to hopefully forget all these things even happened. Because yeah, it's been tough. It's been tough. That's a rough back to back for sure. For sure.
Barbarossa writes in, does Dan have the one ring in front of him? Dude is as bright as an elf princess.
I was hoping nobody would notice. I am slowly being absorbed by the sun.
You have that like golden glow going for you there, Dan.
Yeah, I made the mistake of not closing the blinds on this one window here, and the sun is just destroying me. It's good though, you know, good vitamin C.
There you go. You getting that healthy vitamins for you. As far as I'm calling the defense, I mean, what does that mean for the 2026 Jets? Like what can the Jets defense now do going forward? They're going to go from 31st to where in like a best case scenario, given the resources and what you know about Aaron Glenn as a play caller?
Yeah, I think your ideal focus is you just want to at least be middle of the pack, right? The interesting thing with the Jets this draft is that, you know, their upside with the potential defensive selections that they can get in the top 100 of this draft is actually pretty high. And so I think there's some interesting combinations. I was just watching a mock draft on NFL Stock Exchange where their haul actually was very, very good for the defense. And so, look, I think that the focus on being better at stopping the run is going to help tremendously. I think the big key here is going to be what happens at linebacker, because that was a severe decline year to year from 2024 to 2025. And so if they can fix that, they can fix linebacker. And a lot of this will mean there have to be a lot like super active in free agency, particularly at linebacker. If they can basically shore up these spots that have been critical needs for them in the middle of the defense, I actually think that the upside is pretty good. So I think middle of the pack is probably the floor of what you'd want with Glenn taking over. And then, you know, if everything goes really, really well in the draft and players are a little bit more pro ready than, you know, others maybe, then potentially you're looking at like maybe top 13 defense potentially. So, yeah, I think it can improve a lot if they are able to make the right personnel decisions, which is a big if, of course.
So you think they'll have an interception this year?
I do. I mean, my goodness, I do wonder who it will be, but man, I cannot believe that last season was a thing that occurred. Truly.